today. The chemistry of the locker room. Joining us, NFL Today insider Jason La Canfora. Is chemistry that big a deal since we have seen the Seattle Seahawks and what they're going through?
First of all, if we all had lab coats on, Ergs would be the most stylish. I know that right off the bat.
Double-breasted lab coat.
Oh, you know it. But look, I think a little bit too much is being made of this, right? I mean, they lost to the Rams and took all those crazy special teams players to do it. They lost to the Chargers when the Chargers were saying maybe the best team in the AFC. They lost to the Cowboys at a time the Cowboys weren't losing to anyone. So they get the Raiders, everybody's homecoming sweetheart coming in this weekend. If they kick them around like you think, that 2 wins in a row, I tend to think they're over it.
Yeah, I think so.
I'd like to think that winning is going to help.
Yeah, but you know what? I think that we're making a lot of it because the Cowboys beat them by being physical, but the Rams tricked them, so you can have some peace in that. But I don't think we're making too big of a deal about chemistry. Because with a football team, the road to a championship, and I've always said this, it paved like this tabletop. It's not paved smoothly. It's paved with peaks and valleys. And you have to be what I consider to be a football family. Not to handle the peaks, because most people think they can handle, but to handle those valleys, go through tough times, and start talking like Richard Sherman and those guys are saying, no, there's no problem in this locker room. And if you can come out of those tough times like a family, you actually come out of the valley.
You know, it was different for you and I because they live in a world of social media. And let's face it, they traded Percy Harvin, and all of a sudden the social media started flying from Marshawn Lynch and from some of the other players in that locker room. And then everybody wanted to know why was Percy Harvin traded. And then all of a sudden you start talking about his character. So now you're wondering whether or not there is a schism in that locker room. But I think winning will cure all ills. And the one thing I will say, watching Russell Wilson speak after the game against Carolina this past weekend, he said all the right thing. I personally love that kid. Absolutely. I think he can be my quarterback anywhere. I don't care about any of this other nonsense. Winning will cure it. But now as a quarterback, I also know that everything I say is going to be watched and listened to by my teammates family members and their friends and their agents. And that's why it's so important to carry yourself the way that Russell does.
I got a question for you. Does winning make the chemistry happen, or does the chemistry produce the winning?
Wow, I'll tell you what, I tried to create chemistry when I played every Thursday night. I took my offensive linemen out. Wide receivers were invited if they wanted to come. So were the running backs, and also the tight ends were there. And the reason I did that was because I wanted to get to know guys away from the field, but I also wanted to know, even in tough times, times of adversity, that they had my back as much as I had their back, and that I appreciated everything that they did to protect me on the football field on Sunday. And I'm telling you, when you're losing, which I went through a few times in my career, it's very valuable to have that chemistry where I know those guys have my back.
You didn't answer the question.
Yeah.
It is the
chicken or the egg. You're asking about the chicken or the egg, which comes first now. And I was fortunate enough, or you could say not so fortunate. My first few years in the league, we didn't do much winning. You know, 1 in 15, 3 in 13 seasons. But the nucleus of what went on to win 3 Super Bowls in 4 years was there. And we started talking about how can we become the reason that this thing changed around, so started having that chemistry all of a sudden, start producing the wins. And
I can tell you this, bringing it back to the Seahawks, part of the reason the trade was made is they felt like they had a winning culture there and bear it out last year. Percy wasn't a big part of that. They felt like we have the kind of vibe here where we can help a guy like Percy who has been trouble, who has difficulty trusting people, who's clashed with coaches. We think we can make him part of our group. A couple of senior officials for that team said when we felt like he was now, not only could we not help him, we can't reach him, he's now spoiling our locker room a little bit. He is affecting our chemistry. We got to ship him out. And you know what? If we can't get a 6 for him, they would have cut him that week. He was not going to be on that team flight the next week.
All right, guys. Meanwhile, we're still waiting for Boomer to take us out. Time.